we escaped millions into tens of millions, and then we escaped tens of millions into hundreds of millions
Yeah.
in measuring in DPS, and then we escaped DPS into comets per second.
Hello everyone, today I have for you the final version of my Cast on Ignite feedback loop build, probably before it's nerfed. So I've looked at everything people suggested and I did a ton of my own work on it, and I think I came to the final version and what I like best. So let's get right into it. So if you don't know the main idea of how this works yet, I do have 2 videos on it, so you can check those out, but I will explain it pretty quickly right here. So what we have is the only spell that we are casting, pretty much, is Flammability. And that is because we have Burning Inscription on it, so it will create all these fire pools on the ground. We also have Spell Cascade to make more Burning Ground. I call them fire pools, but it's called actually Igniting Ground. And so what it's doing is igniting enemies and giving us energy for cast on Ignite. I'm pretty sure, and a lot of people have said that this is a bug because the Burning Ground or the Igniting Ground is not hitting, so it should not be giving any energy to cast on Ignite, but it works right now, so that's what this build is based on. And when we build up energy, we are casting different spells. One of them, who would have thought, is Comet for damage. The other one is Essence Drain, along with the support gem Drain Ailments, and this is because it will remove the ignite from the enemy, and since they're standing on the ignited ground, then it will ignite them again. And I'll show you that here. You'll probably see some Essence Drains pop out of me. I saw one, and then you'll see comets fall down. The more enemies, the more feedback looping, and the more destruction. So I think you can probably get the idea there. Now, in my second video, I did add on this helmet, which allows me to put 2 copies of the same support gem onto 2 different skills. So that means not only are we going to feedback loop with the one single little fire that we're casting in Essence Drain, we are going to be adding a second curse that can put down more Burning Ground. And this is on Elemental Invocation. I did have it on Cast on Ignite in the first video, but that's a problem. When you hit rare and unique enemies, it casts so many things. It will cast 100 Essence Drains, 100 Enfeebles, and 100 Comets at the same time. So your mana just goes to 0. And I tried for days to figure out how to limit that mana drain. I did a lot, okay? I did see a Gemling Legionnaire who seemed to be following, was doing a build like this, and they seem to be able to keep their mana up pretty well, probably because, along with less cost of skills on Inspiration, the Gemling Legionnaire Ascendancy has a 30% less cost, notable, that they can get, so that's a lot less mana drain on them, so that they might have been able to fight it better. What are you doing? So maybe on Gemling, and I'm pretty sure that this build is best on a Gemling Legionnaire, but I am doing this on a Infernalist right now with this setup, and this is how I got it to work. So to reiterate, our second curse that is spreading Igniting Ground is on Elemental Invocation, and that's because we have this notable here on our passive tree, Invocated Efficiency, which will recover 3% of our mana when we invoke a spell, and invoking is using invocation spells, not Cast on Ignite. So not only are we not spending mana, we're not spending more mana than we're getting back from using that spell. We're actually going to be slowing down the amount of fire pools that we cast, which is very nice, because when you get energy on these cast on ignites, it just casts 100 spells at the same time if the energy you got allowed it. On these elemental invocations, it can only cast 1 spell per cast time. So I'll use Z, which is I think all these little flame spells. I'll tell you why I use those. But you can see it's only casting 1 at a time. It didn't just cast 27 of them instantly. And if you do 2 at the same time, it'll cast them together, but it's only casting 1 spell at a time per elemental invocation. So this allows me to slow down the build. So I'll actually use it this time, and you can see that we get a lot more chaos going on here. And you can probably understand why my resolution is so low right now. So before, it was auto-casting all over the place, getting tons of kills on its own, the Enfeeble with the Burning Ground on it, but now I'm controlling it myself, getting tons of energy and just scribbling it all over the screen, so any enemy that walks into the fire then builds up more energy and casts comets. It's getting hit by Essence Drain to build up more energy. So that is why I have to set up like this now. Okay, so the reason we have all these other elemental invocations on our build with Ember Fusillade is because it has the lowest cast time in the game, so that means it requires the least amount of energy to cast, which means we can take a lot of advantage out of our invocated efficiency, and we don't need mana regen on our build, because we're just going to be recovering 3% of our mana with all of these at the same time, and I'll show you that here by draining all this out. I have Hypothermia for bosses because I do mostly cold damage with Comet, obviously, so I'll go ahead and hit all of these here. You can see how fast that regens our mana, and if we were getting hit, it would still be going for a while after that, and we're always just building it back. So what I'm doing is I'm holding down the elemental invocation that has Enfeeble on it and just scribbling all over the screen to put it all over enemies, which triggers all the ignites, or yeah, triggers ignites and hits comets and Essence Drain. I think you get it. And then I'm pianoing all these keys because you can't hit them faster to regen mana faster, I'm pretty sure. It's only just queuing up spells. So it's only going to cast, like I said, with Enfeeble, like one spell at a time when it can. But it will cast all of these at the same time, but not like all of the casts on a single one at the same time. I'm pretty sure that makes sense. So if I just use one of these, then I'll gain mana like pretty slow. But since I'm using all 4 of them, I'm gaining 4 times that amount of mana per, like, they're casting at different speeds, but I think you get it. I'm probably recovering like 25 to 50% of my mana a second. So you can see how this looks like in mapping. I'm stuck on Delirium enemies, but it's not a big deal because I'm regenning so much. It doesn't matter that they're hitting me. The regen's all my defense on the build, and mana's my only health pool right now. I don't even know what that was, but it just exploded. But you can see my mana basically stays at 100% the whole time, no matter how many comets and other things are being cast at the same time. And it's really nice to not have to cast my flammability all the time, since I'm just painting the ground all the time with the Enfeebles that are creating burning grounds that are on my elemental invocation here. There is a breach on this map, so that's what I'm trying to get to. Of course, we found the breach all the way at the bottom corner of the map, but I'll start it anyway. You'll just see, I just kind of slowly like paint across the screen. And I try and paint far ahead of me. Just put fire on the ground so when enemies spawn, it immediately starts igniting them. And we start the chain reaction. We'll start spawning all the way over here, so I'll start painting all this. I'll go back into where I haven't been yet and just throw some fire down that path. Yeah, the resolution is abysmal right now. I'm very aware, but I'm able to play at like 30 FPS right now, so that's something, I guess. But yeah, I'm very safe. You don't see my mana fluctuating too much. If I get hit, it might go down a little bit, but immediately regen. And you can see how often I piano my keys. It's very not often. You'll see like when the numbers go down. Really, you only have to hit it probably like every 3 seconds would be my guess. But hit it a little bit more than that probably. But yeah, it's hard to try and put your cursor as far away as possible, honestly. I usually cast close so I don't die, but this build's so insane. It's just going to be putting fire on enemies everywhere. It's very comfortable. I could probably do the breach with my eyes closed. I mean, I wouldn't know where I'm going, but if someone directed me, I could easily do this with my eyes closed. It's very simple. There's no thinking involved. You just hold down the Enfeeble, and then paint everything else, and then there is a boss in this map, so we'll go face them. I have enough spirit for Blink. Obviously, I'm a spirit stacker, more or less, right now. I got rid of a lot of my spirit for the helmet, but that's alright, because it's worth it very much so. Oh, I guess let me in. And I don't need to cast Hypothermia on this measly boss. Like, here's the boss. I might run out of mana, because there's 2 unique enemies here, so it's going to cast like crazy. And we'll do this, and it takes a second for the damage to wind up, but then it just goes pretty nuts. Yeah. And on that other boss, I did not set down my Frostbite. Did I say Hypothermia earlier? It's a good name for the curse too, I guess. Put it down now and just start casting. I think I can tank that. Okay, so watching those map boss clips back, I clearly lose mana very quickly, and I don't know why. I think it's because they have way more power than a rare enemy to generate energy with. A rare enemy has 5, a unique enemy has 20, and I didn't lose any mana against the Breach boss, and I assume it's because the ailment threshold of the Breach boss is a lot higher, which is what I mostly tested against, and not map bosses. So that's probably why I'm losing mana. So I either gotta fix that, or just be like very careful against map bosses, or I might just be not hitting the keys fast enough when I get energy. I don't know. Okay, so for the gear, it's the same as it's been really. I have my Spirit Stacker Shield, gives me a lot of spell damage for my Spirit. I have this for the extra fire damage, that's all it's doing for me. And it gives me Spirit, of course, for more regen from Elemental Invocation and damage from my focus. And then the helmet that is enabling all this, so we have 2 copies of the same support gem on different skills. I just thought about this, so I might be throwing this in a weird spot. But a lot of people were saying that you don't need this helmet to start off the combo. Like, you don't need Burning Inscription on a curse. You can ignite enemies with something else. Now, you can, but it's just straight up worse. And here's why. 1, this guarantee ignites, so you don't have to spec into any kind of ignite on the build. The only other thing that guarantee ignites that will add to the energy of Cast on Ignite and Elemental Invocation is Solar Orb, which is a very small area of effect. Like, you have to be hitting the actual orb itself on the enemy to get it started. You can only put 2 of them out at a time, and it just doesn't do as much damage, and it's just way clunkier to use. And also, it is only 1 ignite per cast. Now, here's where I think a second bug comes in with all this. So let me take off Cursed Ground. So these will cast normally. Like, this will cast like a normal curse. And from Burning Inscriptions description is that it's only supposed to put down the Burning Ground when the circle, like the runic circle, actually goes away. And you'll see here that when you cast it with Spell Cascade, it puts 2 Burning Ground down early, and then they all pop, and then they stay for the same amount of time, like as each other. So this middle one isn't getting a circle, but the other 2 are, and then there's 3 circles of Burning Ground. So I'm pretty sure what's happening is there are 5 Burning Grounds per cast. And yeah, nothing can compete with that. And then obviously when you put on Cursed Ground, these are popping way faster, so you're putting all these down like very quickly. That last one right here is probably taking a while to go down, so there's probably only 4 when you have on Cursed Ground, but that's still phenomenal. And these overlap and hit the enemy multiple times. Sometimes when I cast it on an enemy, I tested it on Elemental Invocation with like no spell damage on my build, because obviously if I had spell damage and stuff, it would go to 100% immediately. But I took everything off my build and casted it on a boss, and when I just used 1 circle, it was like 25% filled, and then when I used Spell Cascade, it would go to like 25 or 50 sometimes, and sometimes it would just go to 100 just instantly, and it's just from the boss like hitting multiple circles and getting multiple ignites on them. So that's why using this helmet just streamlines all that so much, and that's why I can just walk around like very quickly with mobility and just delete maps without slowing down. But then it does increase the attribute requirements, so we do need something that gives us a lot of attributes, which is my Breach Ring here, along with my Ingenuity Belt. Then I just have like resistances, mana, and life on my other ring. I have some Spirit and Energy Shield, since I am Eldritch Battery, Mind Over Matter. We have a new amulet, which is +3 level to all spell skills, which is giving damage to my Comet, which is very important. You're going to have to figure out how to manage your mana versus your damage when it comes to the level of the gems. And that's also kind of one of the reasons that I don't use a wand, because too many levels is going to make it drain my mana, which is my only health pool now, so that's not good. And then on top of that, I lose my Spirit, so I lose a lot of my regen and a lot of my damage. So you might not need so much Spirit on your build, depending on what you got going, but this is what I need. And then just normal boots with resistances, movement speed, life, mana, same with my gloves. And then I do have the Anoint Hunter's Talisman. Since I'm not Energy Shield anymore, I literally just get stunned and frozen way too much, so I need both of these charms. They're actually very good charms. Increased duration and increased charges gained, which I think is probably the best affixes on it. So that's what I got going there. And then on the tree, we are still Infernalist with the Claw, where we're reserving all of our life to get mana, spirit, and energy shield. The energy shield turns into mana, so that's why this is a pretty decent ascendancy. I still think Gemling Legionnaire is probably the better way to go, but the build will look pretty different than mine. And then since we are reserving life, yes, this works. This is how reservation works. It is making me low life. A lot of people said that they don't think that reservation is making me low life. I guess I will just show it. So we have our comet damage here. So I have how much critical damage percent somewhere? Oh, right here, 428%. Now let me unspec this node. Holy crap. So much to click out of. And then we have, so it was 428. And now we have 329. So yes, from Pain Attunement, I am getting the more critical damage bonus when on low life because I'm on low life. I'm at 25% of my maximum life. So we're also taking advantage of that with this node where we get cast speed. And the reason you want cast speed is because on all these elemental invocations, you do cast these faster with cast speed. So like each single spell that's coming out from each elemental invocation is coming out quicker, which means more mana regeneration. Then we have crit on our build, crit, and then, more crit and more crit. And then we have, this is basically the only mana nodes we're taking right here. We are taking Eldritch Battery, Mind Over Matter, more mana, or increased maximum mana. It increases the mana cost of our skills, but that's okay, it's worth it. And then increased spell damage per 100 maximum mana, because we're stacking mana. And then we have, that's all the mana that we have, obviously because we're regenerating it all from Invocated Efficiency. And then I do have more projectile speed, just so, because I had a few points, and this will make it so Essence Drain triggers stuff faster because it's reaching the enemy quicker, and it's also so Essence Drain won't miss the enemy. Then we have this cold tree here, where we're getting pen from these 3 nodes, and then we get +1 to level of all cold skills, which actually affects our elemental invocations, which means more energy gained, and then it's obviously increasing our comets level. We're at 24 levels. It's very sustainable. Then, you know what? I have more mana nodes. We have this one, increased maximum mana, and then these here, reduced mana cost of skills. And I did have this anointed when I was able to. The mental toughness down here, I had that on my amulet, and I'll probably go back to it when I don't need this anymore, because I need one of those rings that gives you, the one that costs 90 divines, that gives you maximum mana. Something dream, I forget. What else? I don't need this anymore because we don't have energy shield, so I have 4 points to do something with. And then we also have all the energy regeneration. This is definitely a DPS increase, so taking all these is very good. And I'll figure out something to do with these 4 points. Well, I guess we can just get more pen on Comet for now, so I don't have to cast Frostbite on anything. So we'll just put 4 points there for now. Might move that around. But yeah, we don't need any energy shield. It would be nice, but that is taking up our amulet slot to use an Everlasting Gaze and then a lot of points in our tree. So just go full DPS, a lot of mana regen, and hopefully don't get one hit. So for Whispers of Doom, I did have 2 curses on the build for a long time, so that's why I had this, but now I have 3 between Flammability, my Enfeeble, that's auto-casting from Elemental Invocation, and then Frostbite. So I might have even have ripped the Frostbite off the boss there and not realized it. And I'll check back on that, so I might actually take this off. I want Flammability because I am doing the extra fire damage on my spells, so the random times where Flammability is on enemies, then this will do more damage. And then Enfeeble is just the lowest cost curse that you can possibly get. You can get it at level 3, so that's why I use Enfeeble. And then obviously I don't need a curse for damage, so especially with taking some extra pen here. Okay, so for all these supports on here, we have Burning Inscription, as I said before, on Flammability. And then we have Spell Cascade, Impending Doom, and Cursed Ground. This makes it so the Spell Cascade goes off quicker and creates more Burning Ground quicker. Then also makes Impending Doom proc on enemies, and If there's enemies that don't really... Oh, actually, this is perfect. There are flying enemies, all the bugs, like the little mosquitoes, or the like giant freaking... I don't even know what they are. They just fly across the screen so fast. They don't get like burnt from ground effects, so you don't do any damage to them. So you either gotta like accidentally hit them with a comet by running around and killing other enemies, or you can just hit them with a pending doom, which is not too much damage, but it is something. And then we have mobility to go faster on the build because we just walk around. On Comet, we have Concentrated Effect for more damage, and I did have on Spell Echo before, but that is 150% mana multiplier, so it's very expensive, so I'm just not doing that. I might be able to do it now. I haven't tried it, but this is very good since it has no mana multiplier. Then we have Considered Casting, which 100 people said doesn't give you more damage on your Comet, but you can see it's giving me like 33% more damage, so there's that. And then we have more elemental damage from Elemental Focus, and then supported skills cannot inflict elemental ailments. We don't want enemies being frozen, because then when Essence Drain and Drain Ailments hits them, then it will consume the freeze sometimes instead of the ignite, so then we're not getting more energy. And then Inspiration, so it costs less, so we don't lose all of our mana. On Essence Drain, we have Hinder, Drain Ailments, and Chain. So just more energy generation, and then slow down enemies. So on our Elemental Invocation that has our Enfeeble, we have Spell Cascade and Burning Inscription, who would have thought? And then we have on Impetus, which gives us 40% increased energy for the Elemental Invocation. And we do this for when we are hitting like 1 or 2 normal enemies. It is very hard to build up energy because they have low power. So this will just build it up quicker so we can start the combo or just comment away those enemies that are kind of annoying. And then on our Elemental Invocation with Ember Fusillade, we just have one with more increased maximum energy. I might put this on Elemental Invocation for Enfeeble instead if I get a 6 link, but for now it is on this one. And it's just so we regen mana for longer because we just have more stacks of the Ember Fusillade. And then more cast speed, because as I said earlier, more cast speed is more regeneration for our mana because it is casting out these spells quicker. And then this last one, I just don't have anything on it because I've already used my 2 spells. I guess I can use another capacitor on this. And then we have Blink with Ingenuity, and then Hypothermia with Heightened Curse. Wait a second. It is called Hypothermia. Why is it called Frostbite over here? That's why I was confused. I was right. What the fuck? So I probably will not improve on the build too much anymore because I'm pretty sure this is going to be getting nerfed. If it gets nerfed in some way but still works, which I don't think it will, I'll build on it. A Dream Fragments would obviously be very good for more mana and then make me immune to freeze, so then I don't have to have Hunter's Talisman allocated on my amulet. And honestly, that's the only thing I can really see changing on the build. Maybe I get rid of the Spirit on this for some more Energy Shield, which is more mana. But the build's pretty good. I don't know if I can really increase the levels of my Comet anymore in any way that would not drain my mana. So I'm kind of set on this for now. Okay, thanks for watching. I will have more builds in the future or something, some kind of Path of Exile 2 content. If this gets better or some way, I'll obviously make a video. Or if it doesn't get nerfed, I'll make a video being, yeah, we can farm forever now. So, yeah. All right, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff. Like if you like this, and comment if you have any questions. See ya.